Hi friends, I've been studying the book of Jonah the past few days. It is a short book. It has only 4 chapters, but I think it is one of the most dramatic stories in the Bible. God commanded Jonah to go to Nineveh and preach, but Jonah ran from the Lord. While running, he was caught in a storm and was swallowed by a great fish. Jonah eventually went to Nineveh and preached, and the people repented. The entire city fasted and prayed. Even the animals were required to fast. Perhaps this is one of the greatest revivals of all time. But Jonah, instead of rejoicing at the repentance of the people, became upset and argued with God and wishes to die. But this morning, I want to share a few thoughts on Jonah's running. Let's read chapter 1, verse 1, 2, and 3. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship, bound for the port. After paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. Jonah, as a prophet, his job was to bring the truth of God to the people who needed to hear the most. But here we see that he did the opposite. He was running from his calling. What made Jonah to run? Chapter 4 verse 2 tells us that he fled because he knew God was gracious and compassionate. Jonah knew God would forgive the people of Nineveh should they repented. But Jonah doesn't want them to receive God's mercy. He is not interested in their deliverance. Nineveh is the capital of Assyria, and it's a growing threat to Israel. They are known for their cruelty and violence. So in Jonah's mind, they are the enemy of Israel. They are evil and wicked and deserve to be punished. Jonah wants them to suffer for their sin and to be destroyed. Jonah let his human perspective, his hatred for the Nineveh, overrule God's command. Jonah's pride and his self-righteousness as the chosen people of God had blinded him. If God were to deal with Jonah and the people of Nineveh with the same standard of justice, they both would be destroyed. But God was merciful. He never gave up on Jonah and the people of Nineveh. Yet Jonah closed his eyes to this mercy and grace of God and become unforgiveness towards the people of Nineveh. Our God is a God of mercy. And that is good news for us, because many times we are not much different from Jonah. We may read the book and say, I will never do this, but perhaps we have been running from God all this time and didn't know it. I can identify with Jonah. I had let my pride and my past feeling come in the way of my calling and obedience to God. I had ignored my responsibility to tell other people about God because it was out of my comfort zone or because of fear. I had tried and I had avoided people because they are different or difficult to work with. I've been quick to judge. Instead of being merciful, I've been patient. You know, when we hold anger, when we hold unforgiveness, bitter feeling, or resentment towards someone, we are no different than Jonah. When we have no compassion, no mercy, no love, and no kindness, we are actually running from God. We believers, we have a message of truth, and we are to bring that message to the people who don't know Jesus so that they can experience God's forgiveness, mercy, grace, and love. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 1 and 2 tell us, follow God's example and walk in the ways of love. And what does it look like? To be merciful, to be kind, to be loving, to be gentle. Jonah's calling was hard. He is called to go to his enemy and preach a message of judgment. What do you do when you're called to work with someone you really dislike? What do you do when obeying and following God means doing something you really don't want to do? Jonah didn't care for the people of Nineveh, but God did. Whom is God calling you today to show mercy and to be patient and kind, even when though it's difficult and you don't want to? The psalmist in Psalm 145 verse 8 and 9 said, God is gracious and has compassion on all he has made. The Gospel of Luke chapter 6 verse 36 tells us, God is merciful, so therefore be merciful. God's mercy and forgiveness is a provision for everyone. God has placed you in a community, put you in a workplace, in a school, in a university to be His witness. Wherever you are today, I encourage you, try to see the people around you from God's point of view, and search your heart and ask yourself, how concerned are you for their salvation? And ask God to change your heart to become like His. God is faithful, and He always will be faithful. Even when we run away from Him, He is merciful, He is graceful. So let us run to Him today, and let us obey Him and do what He has commanded us to do in boldness and courage, trusting Him that He will do great things through us. He cares for you, He loves you, and He will be with us. As the Bible says, He will never leave us or never forsake us. So let's trust Him and run with God. God bless you, and have a wonderful week.